Arthur Curry, better known as Aquaman, wasn't always the ocean's most regal defender. His early days were spent straddling two worlds, the human surface and the hidden undersea kingdom of Atlantis. Born to lighthouse keeper Tom Curry and Atlanta, an exiled Atlantean queen, Arthur grew up on the windswept coast of Amnesty Bay, Massachusetts, where he developed an affinity for the sea that went far beyond fishing trips. Arthur's life took a turn toward destiny when he learned of his Atlantean lineage and his claim to the throne. Wrestling with the pull between land and sea, he eventually embraced his heritage, becoming the King of Atlantis and the protector of its vast undersea territories. But being king isn't about lounging on a coral throne all day. Arthur's reign is a constant balancing act, facing Atlantean factions who distrust his half-human blood and a surface world that views him as a mysterious and often misunderstood figure. Though often underestimated thanks to decades of pop culture jokes about talking to fish, Aquaman's power set is actually formidable. He commands the oceans and can summon creatures from the deepest trenches. He can also survive in crushing depths that would pulp most heroes. Aquaman's powers are as vast and layered as the ocean he rules, each one tied to his Atlantean heritage and his unique physiology as a hybrid of the two worlds. His most famous ability, the one pop culture never lets him forget, is his telepathic link with marine life. But in truth, it's far more than just talking to fish. This is a deep, commanding, psionic connection that allows him to summon, direct, and even influence the sea creatures on a massive scale, from schools of fish to colossal leviathans lurking in the ocean's abyss. In moments of crisis, this power can become a force of nature all on its own, rallying the entire sea to his defense. Physically, Aquaman is built both for land and the crushing pressures of the deep. His Atlantean physiology grants him superhuman strength, enough to lift tanks and go toe-to-toe with some of the strongest beings in the DC universe, along with durability that allows him to shrug off bullets and withstand volcanic heat. Underwater, he moves with unmatched speed and agility, capable of swimming at incredible velocities while retaining full combat control. His enhanced senses let him see clearly in the blackest depths and hear the faintest sonar signals, giving him a hunter's edge in any aquatic environment. He's also a master combatant, wielding the legendary Trident of Poseidon with lethal precision. These weapons aren't just ceremonial, they can channel magical energy, pierce nearly any metal, and serve as a symbol of his authority. Putting it all together, Aquaman's abilities make him a hero who commands an entire biome, a sovereign who is both a warrior and a diplomat, and a protector whose battlefield stretches across 70% of the planet. The surface may underestimate him, but the ocean never will. Aquaman's history in DC Comics is a tide of triumphs and tragedies, moments that make him far more than the guy who just talks to dolphins. One of his most defining arcs came when he fully embraced the Atlantean throne, asserting his authority over a kingdom that didn't always want him. As king, he faced everything from civil uprisings to magical incursions, often forced to choose between the survival of Atlantis and his loyalty to the surface world. Those political tightrope acts cemented him as one of DC's most complex monarchs, equal parts warrior, diplomat, and reluctant ruler. Few rivalries in comics are as personal as his feud with Black Manta. What began as a vendetta escalated into tragedy when Manta was responsible for the death of Arthur's infant son, a moment that broke Aquaman's stoic exterior and pushed him to the edge. The loss of his son became a defining wound in his mythology, shaping his more ruthless, no-nonsense approach to dealing with enemies. On another front, his battles with his brother Ocean Master tested not just his combat skills, but his sense of family. With these conflicts, it often blurred the line between personal betrayal and geopolitical conflicts. Arthur has also proven his worth on a global stage, both underwater and in the company of Earth's greatest heroes. As a founding member of the Justice League, he stood shoulder to shoulder with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, taking on threats that dwarf even his oceanic domain. He's repelled alien invasions, faced primordial horrors from the sea's abyss, and defended the world from cataclysmic floods that could wipe out civilization. Through these moments, Aquaman has consistently shattered the punchline perception, showing that the oceans are as dangerous and worth protecting as any battlefield on land or in space. In his later life, Aquaman's story shifted from proving himself to the world toward shaping the future for both realms he calls home. As he matured into his role, Arthur worked tirelessly to ease the century-old tensions between Atlantis and the surface world, forging fragile alliances while fending off those who saw peace as weakness. His reign as king became more stable, though never free from conflict. Atlantis is a kingdom where coups and rebellions can spring up as quickly as a riptide. Yet with each crisis, Arthur's authority grew, and so did his willingness to redefine what it meant to be Atlantean in the modern world. His personal life also evolved. Arthur's relationship with Mera deepened from political alliance to enduring partnership, the two becoming one of DC's most resilient power couples. Later years saw Aquaman step into the role of mentor and legacy builder. He trained younger heroes in ways ways of the sea, passed on his hard-earned wisdom, and even redefined his Justice League role as a statesman who could broker peace as easily as he could wield a trident. While still a warrior at heart, Arthur's later life is defined by a greater vision, ensuring that the oceans and the people who live above and below them have a chance to thrive long after his own story is told. He became less of an outsider torn between two worlds and more of the bridge strong enough to hold them together. Aquaman's legacy is a reminder that true strength isn't always loud or obvious. It's often found in endurance, adaptability, and the courage to stand between worlds that would rather remain divided. His life has been a constant balancing act, warrior and king, Atlantean and human, protector and avenger. He has navigated political betrayals, personal losses, and battles that span from the ocean's darkest trenches to the farthest reaches of space. Through it all, Arthur Curry has shown that leadership is not about ruling from above, but standing in the tide with your people, willing to fight and bleed beside them. His story teaches resilience in the face of ridicule, the value of diplomacy backed by strength, and the quiet heroism of protecting those who may never truly understand the depth of your sacrifice. For decades, pop culture has tried to reduce him to a punchline, the fish guy in Bright Orange, the hero who could never stand alongside the giants. But the truth is, the giants don't stand above him, they stand beside him. The oceans are vast, ancient, and unforgiving, and Aquaman commands them, not as a novelty, but as their champion. He is the bridge between the surface and the deep, a leader forged in salt water and steel. A man who has defended 70% of the planet more times than the world will ever know. The jokes fade like ripples on the surface, but the tides endure, and so does he. Aquaman is no joke, and in the end, the seas will always remember their king.